For U.S. oil companies that are recording their largest profits in years, they have a choice. One, they can put those profits to productive use by producing more oils, or they can, as some of them are doing, exploit the situation. Sit back, ship those profits to the investors, and while American families struggle to make ends meet.
Well, that was President Biden last week, blaming the oil companies for 40-year high inflation. Executives from 6 major oil companies will testify before Congress on the record high gas prices this upcoming Wednesday. Joining me right now is the chairman and CEO of United Refining Company. He is also the CEO of Gristedes, D'Agostino Foods, and the Red Apple Group. John Catsimatidis is here. John, good to see you. Thanks very much. Your reaction to what you just heard from Biden, blaming oil companies.
It's part of the big lie. And the White House has not been telling the truth to the American people for a long time. And it's like saying if the price of Bank of America stock is $100, they're responsible for high interest rates. I mean, that is dumb. I mean, the markets are the markets. The markets are trading oil. And the oil companies, whether they're producing it or refining it, they're the ones that are just going along with the markets. And the day when President Biden took office, the price of crude oil was $55 a barrel. Today, it's over 100. Yeah. So it's just nonsense. And it's part of the war he has on North America. Nobody can still understand why there's a war on North America on buying American oil. And he insists on buying foreign oil, making the foreigners rich and making the American people poorer. But, Maria, this problem can be solved. This problem can be solved. All he has to do is turn on the Keystone Pipeline. All he has to do is turn on the Alaska Pipeline and give out the permits to drill and do whatever they have to do. And price of oil could go back down to $55, $60. In 90 days, 120 days, it'll go back down.
Yeah.
And the price of food will go down at the same time.
Vladimir Putin must be taking in, what, $1 billion a day at this point, John? You know, gasoline prices are pulling back from 2-week highs this morning, but they're still up above $4 a gallon. What's your take in terms of where prices are going? And give us a sense of where the reserves are in this country and what would be the easiest or quickest way to get those reserves onto the market to pressure prices lower with more supply, American supply, John?
Well, the question is, the reserves that the government has, their cost is $30 a barrel. So is the government going to say to me, John, we got a great deal for you. We're going to give you oil at $30 a barrel because that's our cost. Or are they going to give it to us at $100 a barrel? I mean, it doesn't make sense either way. And to use up our reserves at this particular time,
I was talking about the potential. I was talking about the potential that's in the ground right now. I want to be clear. I was not talking about the strategic reserve. He's already released reserves from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve twice, and oil prices went right back up. So it didn't really work. But I'm talking about the potential that's in the ground right now and the process of drilling, how long it would take should he actually change course here. But it doesn't look like he is going to change course, John, because that would certainly show that his climate change agenda has been a failure.
Maria, Alaska has 100 years worth of oil, over 100 billion barrels. Canada has 180 billion barrels. And Maria, that does not count the Arctic Ocean off the coast of Canada and Alaska. I mean, it's infinite.
That's what I was looking for.
It's infinite because the Earth makes oil. It isn't like the old days people said, oh, it's from dead dinosaurs. That's not from dead dinosaurs. Right. The Earth produces the oil.
And of course, Of course, the elevated price of oil and gasoline and diesel is keeping food prices up as well. The transportation of the product has food prices up 7.9% year over year. What's your take on food prices and inflation in America right now?
They will continue to rise over the next 30, 60, 90 days. And there's no choices. I mean, I would say in the next 30 to 45 days, you'll see food prices up another 10%.
Another 10%. Joe Concha, jump in here.
Hey, John, is this increase in food prices, obviously it's affecting the way folks at home are buying food at this point, right? Like you almost have to change the behavior because it costs more money to fill up that car, to get gas, to get to a store that sells food. I'm just curious, is this having a direct impact on your business as far as workers and staffing? Are you able to still hold everybody, or do you have to start cutting at some point?
No, we are not cutting. People are adjusting to it. Maybe, well, even Oreo cookies are up to over $7. They have not cut down on their Oreo cookies yet. And
wow.
they're not, but it's at some place it's going to start affecting things. But if Joe Biden reverses course and opens up North America, and what I recommended, the North American treaty, energy treaty, we can produce 15 million barrels a day and make North America self-sufficient. And there's no reason we should be making our enemies rich and making the American people poor. And that's what it comes down to.
Yep. Amazing that you think
and the prices of food will come right down.
And amazing to me that you think food prices are going up 10% over the coming months. John, thanks very much. We'll keep checking back with you. Good to see you this morning. John Catsimatidis,